The Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus are here, and Samsung has packed even more AI into these devices. Let's check it out. At $800, the Galaxy S25 is the smallest and cheapest phone in Samsung's new lineup. Then there's the $1,000 Galaxy S25 Plus, which sits between the S25 and the much more expensive S25 Ultra. All of Samsung's new phones run on a special version of Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite processor that was designed specifically for these devices. And the S25 and S25 Plus are also a bit lighter than last year's devices. And what I really like about Samsung's approach this time around is that it's more about how they can use AI to make the operating system feel a little bit more intuitive and natural, rather than just infusing AI into one-off features that you probably won't find yourself using very often. That said, the new features, while they are interesting, I don't think they're going to be a reason for you to buy a new phone, at least not yet. But let's take a closer look at what those additions are. First, there's AI Select, which is kind of an evolution of Samsung's Smart Select feature. When you swipe out from the side of the screen and tap the AI Select button, the phone will analyze what's on screen and make suggestions about what you might want to do. So if you're looking at a photo, it might suggest that you set that photo as a wallpaper. If you're watching a video, it might recommend that you create a GIF of a clip from that video. Then there's cross-app actions, which I think will be even more useful. So this essentially allows you to issue a voice command that involves using multiple apps at once without actually having to manually open and use those apps. So for example, if you want to find a restaurant nearby that's pet-friendly and vegan and then text that restaurant to your friend, you can actually just say that as a command in natural language to the device and have it do that for you. So this idea itself is somewhat new, but it's been around for a while. We've seen things like routines and Siri suggestions for years, but I think with the rise of generative AI, natural language processing improving, and large language models, this technology is becoming a bit easier and more accessible. And I think it'll be really useful if it works as intended. In my limited time with the devices, I didn't really get to try this feature for myself. I saw a demo of it, which seems to work, but we'll know more, of course, when we actually test the devices. Samsung is also trying to make the software on its new phones more intuitive and personal, and this has been a goal that companies like Samsung have had for a long time, and it's a trend that we've seen really over the last decade with the rise of smartwatches and smart home devices that can all kind of talk to each other. But I think the rise of generative AI and large language models has made the execution of these types of features even more natural and useful. So one way Samsung is doing that is by essentially allowing your phone to proactively surface recommendations for routines based on your usage and your daily habits. So it might make recommendations based on your morning commute or how you've been sleeping. For example, if you wear a Galaxy ring or a Galaxy watch and you have a SmartThings thermostat and you tend to wake up around the same time in the middle of the night, it might notice that your thermostat is at a specific temperature when you're waking up and maybe recommends that you set a routine to lower that temperature. So things like that. There's also a new widget called the Now Brief, which, as the name implies, has all sorts of information that is supposed to be kind of personalized to your routine and the things that matter to you the most. So that could be news headlines, it could be the weather, it could be different things like information about the traffic on your morning commute, maybe schedule reminders, things like that. So again, this isn't like an entirely new idea, but I do like the notion that Samsung's trying to make the software more personal so that we don't have to jump between apps as often as we currently do. There's also an update to Circle to Search that actually lets you search for sounds as well. So it's kind of like Shazam, where it'll recognize a sound or a song or something like that. But the cool thing is that even if you don't have the song handy and you can't remember it, you can hum it into the phone and it should also be able to identify it. So I have not tried that element yet. I'm looking forward to checking that out. But I did try this with the YouTube video during my brief hands-on with the devices. But I think the real test will be whether people actually use these features. Sure, they sound nice in practice, but I think only time will tell whether these features actually help us use our phones more naturally. And I wouldn't expect anything too different from the cameras on the Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus, but there is a new audio editing feature that I think will be really useful. It basically lets you toggle background noises and voices in videos so that you can either dial them up or dial them back or mute them entirely. So I think that'll be useful for people who shoot a lot of content on their devices. And this is kind of similar to features that we've seen from Apple and Google as well. So what do you think of the Galaxy S25 and S25 Plus? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to check out CNET for more details.